how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
To infinity and beyond!
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
It's classified.
You talking to me?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I can't fly!
Expecto Patronum!
Entertainment X.
You never know what you're going to get.
For this episode, I sit down with Noelle, the creator of True Model Management. We talk about her life path, which actually led her to creating this company. She gives some really great advice and discusses her headspaces that she keeps herself in when running this company. It's a really interesting conversation, and I hope you enjoy. So keep on keeping on. We are back, and today with me is Noelle, we're sitting in a beautiful spot right here, looking outside at True Model Management, which we'll talk about, and so much more. Dale, thank you for sitting down with me and taking this time. I really appreciate it. I want to start with growing up. What were your hobbies? What did you do for fun?
Well, thank you for inviting me today, Clay. My hobbies as a child, I loved being outdoor. And I loved creating and building things. So I was either out riding my bike, I was doing gymnastics, dancing, roller skating all around town. I played all sports. As far as building, we had a workshop for wood and metal in our basement. And I'd build little rooms for my dolls. I'd build shoe boxes and paint them. I loved creating things.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Okay. All right. And was that your parents? Like, they were like, was it a general, they encouraged all of it, being outside and building and do a lot of using your hands and
Yes.
breaking a sweat with the elbow grease and everything?
Absolutely. My dad was born and raised in Italy until he was a young boy, and he brought a lot of that DIY, which is so popular now, but growing up, we didn't think that was so cool. When we were home, we would, but, as teenagers and, your cousins are coming over to build a kitchen on the weekend, my friends would say, people actually do that? Like, I thought you called the kitchen remodeling place. I'm like, oh, no. Cousins are coming over. They're going to be making wine. They're going to be making prosciutto, and they'll be building a kitchen today.
Oh, my goodness. That's actually funny you say that, because growing up, my parents had me do a lot of that. I did a lot of yard work. Thinking back.
Yard work, yeah. And I loved it. I loved mowing the lawn. If something broke in the house, I was plastering walls. I always liked beautifying the home. So I'd be a little kid walking with my allowance to buy, change the number on the front of the house because I didn't like the way it looked. And, my dad would be like, hey, you want to paint that wall? Go for it. I would just change things. And
did you find that made you more independent?
Absolutely. My parents, I didn't know they were still instilling independence in me, but everything, my father would always say, try it. You'll like it. If you don't like it, keep trying until you like doing it.
Yeah.
Get the knowledge to be capable of doing things on your own. And my mother was the same way. She was always so supportive, but it was like, try it.
I love that. What did they teach you? What did your parents teach you about work ethic?
Wow, work ethic is very high on the list in our family. Everyone, they're from Italy on my father's side and Norway on my mother's side, and almost everyone started their own business, worked a lot, but also made great time for play. My father always had a saying, a family that plays together stays together. So it was like we would work, and part of our afternoon together might be climbing on the roof and cleaning out the gutter or something like that. It was like it could be dangerous. He'd be like, yeah, go a little higher. It's all right. Don't worry. Just be careful. Pay attention.
Were they like that in all aspects? Like, do the work first and then play?
And we incorporated, the work was play, too. So it'd be like, hey, we're painting the living room today. Okay, great. Who's making the cookies, or who's, putting on the music, and we'll dance in between. So they never presented it like work. It's like, this is the activity today, And as we got older, we caught on a little bit, but it was always any toy we had. My grandparents had a little house on the water in Long Island, so we'd spend summers there. And it was a little bit of work camp, too. So it was like, yes, we'd go on the boat, water skiing all day, wave runners, sailing, all these things. But when we came back, we were scrubbing every single thing down. Salt water, destroys things. So we had to make sure everything was perfectly clean and put away,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good balance. That's a good balance between work and play. What did they teach you about kindness?
kindness. Everyone in my family was very, very kind and very welcoming of others. My house, growing up, my grandparents lived 2 blocks away. Other relatives lived in the neighborhood. Everyone's door was always open. Taking in the neighbors' kids. If someone was busy and couldn't take them, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Oh, you're not going to be home to accept the refrigerator today. My grandfather will wait for you. Don't worry, we'll bring food over. They're always taking care of everyone in the community and very, very kind, good people. So I learned by example.
Yeah. How is that translated for you into this, to the career owning True Model?
I feel like it has a lot to do with it because I think my grandmother and my father probably had the most influence as far as inviting people into our homes and connecting people. Oh, your friend is coming from this town, and introduce them to your cousin so they can learn, how to be a chef, or introduce them to this person so they can, go to museum together. So True Model Management was founded because of but requests by my colleagues to.
Yeah, for it. That's funny because we talked about this the other night because we were at Unstoppable the musical. Oh, that must have been a week ago.
That was amazing.
It's really good.
Unbelievable.
It was great. And we were talking about this at dinner about connecting people, that you just have this passion of like, who can fit here and who do I know that you know? And that's so great, especially when you're working here in the city, in these fields of entertainment and what have you, because it's all about relationships and who you're friends with, who you become friends with, who you know.
Yeah, when I started working, I didn't know the term networking. It wasn't really that popular. And then later they're like, oh, you're just like a natural networker. I'm like, a what?
So trendy now, yeah.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, is that what I'm doing? Like, I just really liked this person and thought they'd be great together. So let me introduce them.
I love that. Absolutely. How did you come about modeling? Where did that begin?
That was through a job where I was selling clothes for a living. I was a salesperson for a sportswear company and traveling to all the trade shows. So at the trade shows, the buyers used to ask me to try on clothes thinking I was the model, and I would just try on the clothes to sell them. So, there were many blazers on the line that I was selling, so I could just put it over my clothes, and everyone could tell me, you look like a model, you should be a model. And I'm like, oh, I have really no interest. I'd rather be the photographer and not have pictures taken of me. And then fit modeling came up, and like, you have very good proportions, the clothes hang well on you, you should really look into this. So it was a couple of years or a year down the line where I was thinking of a career move, and I decided to just call a couple of the top agencies, and one gave me a contract on the spot. So they told me, don't quit your day job, but I did get the contract on the spot, signed with them, and a day later I had Calvin Klein, J. Crew, Victoria's Secret, The Gap. I got really large accounts right away.
That's
and
incredible.
And then it just changed kind of overnight.
Yeah. Now that was with fit modeling.
Correct.
And fit modeling, for those who don't know, is they use your body because it has perfect proportions for designing new pieces of clothing. So they'll try things on you.
Exactly. And you're wear testing them before they go to the consumer or to the retailer. So you're working out the kinks. If it's not comfortable, you can't sit down, or if it's not flattering, they work on with the fit model to correct it. And it helps increase their sales and reduce their returns. So
you reduce the returns, right?
Good fit models help the company's bottom line.
That's so true. So when you were working at the sporting goods and doing the trade shows, how old were you? Was that during college? Was that before college?
Right after.
Right after college.
Yes, I was around 21, I think.
And was that just like okay, I'm out of college, I need a job, I'll do this?
Well, I did quite a bit of research, and I thought in college, I was a business major and marketing advertising minor, that I'd be working in a corporation for a big advertising firm, and I was picturing this creative yet business type of environment and job in big New York City. And then I got here and realized that that paid absolutely nothing, and I didn't come from money, so I couldn't keep myself, fed or, bust money to get to work on what they're paying. So I said, all right, I have to explore something else. So I looked at the financial world. I really didn't gel well with me. I think I probably would have been an amazing investment banker, but I didn't want to deal with politics. And the only reason I think I got into a lot of those for interviews is because my name is Dale. So they thought I was male. And
Could be a gender neutral.
The jaws would drop when I walked that door, like, Dale, and the reception area, Dale, where's Dale? I'm like, oh, right here. They're like, oh, okay, well, you can be a receptionist for a year if we hire you. And,
Oh, shoot.
the boys all went to get their Series 7s right away. I was like, oh, no way, this isn't for me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
A lot of my friends went down that route and turned out great for them, but I took a different path. And I was just looking at all different sales jobs. My father brought it up. He's like, you should be in sales, you should make commission. So I wound up going with a very high commission-based job, and I got to... The travel perks really lured me in. It's like we drove everywhere growing up. So it was like when they said I'd be flying everywhere, I'd be dining in fine restaurants and entertaining people after the trade shows. I'm like, that sounds fabulous.
Right
I'll
up your
take it.
alley.
So
What
that's
was
where I
your,
started.
do you have a favorite location that you went to or favorite place where you had one of the trade shows? Was that just United States?
I only did the United States. Oh, actually, I take that back. We did used to go to Montreal. So I would say either Montreal or I had a lot of good friends that I met from work in the Dallas area too, though. So I think it was
Okay.
more the people that I met and stayed in touch with. So
Yeah.
those are my favorites.
Okay. So if you're willing to connect the dots here, from being the fit model, how did the need arise and come across for you with creating True Model Management?
Well, as a fit model, pretty much from day one, I had a very busy schedule. And I would say about a year into it, I had no more time in the week to add more clients. So I was continually seeking substitute models that were similar to my shape and size. I would scout my friends, some girls on the street. I have this great job for you. And I wound up introducing many great models to a couple of top agencies in the world and directly to my clients. And at one point, I had about 10 different substitutes for myself, so I had my own little roster of models, but I had nothing to do with their business. I would connect them, but I wasn't collecting commission. I didn't manage them. I just made the introduction. So this went on for almost 20 years on a friendly basis, and right away, clients are always telling me, why don't you have your own agency? You're sending us better models than the agencies. I'm like, no, yeah, just, book my friends. I'm happy. That's good. And as long as, when they're subbing for me, I come back to you. It's good to me, and I don't need anything more, and I'm glad everyone's happy. So went on like that for many years. Then I was weaning myself off of modeling, and I did do print modeling, kind of a twist of stories with usually fit models don't become print models, and print models become fit models, but it worked out well for me. The turning point was I was starting to give away some accounts, and I had left a big agency to work with my sister. I wanted her to be my personal assistant and to manage my schedule as I was dropping clients, and figured it would be an easier transition to whatever I was going to do next, and she needed a job. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I'm on my way out anyway. Do some work for this, take care of all my personal business as well. And in the interim, she said, oh, everyone keeps calling. And it was True Model Management under a slightly different name when it was just for me. They said, why don't you represent other models? I said, well, Danielle, my sister, send my friends, keep sending them, and we don't need to be involved. And you focus on me, and we'll figure out the next business from here.
Yeah.
Long story short, couple of years into it, I get pregnant and cancer at the same time. And by this point, I had hired someone other than my sister, who is our current manager. She was the first one with us to handle the female fit models. She said, you know, you're pregnant, cancer, you're going to the hospital, you're going to lose all your accounts. Why don't we start representing other models who've been asking all this time? So we pretty much decided, great, we'll start managing models at this point.
I have two questions that come up from there. Going back for a quick second, how did the fit model become print model for you? That twist of
I
fate.
kind of glossed over that. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious what that is.
My heyday in fit modeling, where you have to be more of like the average size, was when the whole waif era was, you know, Kate Moss and some of the models who were very thin and didn't have much shape. So some of my clients, I think J. Crew was the very first one, I got a message from my agent saying, oh, tomorrow go to this studio for a photo shoot for J. Crew. And I was like, wait, you left a message on the wrong person's answering machine. I am a fit model. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, no, the president of J. Crew wants you to now do the catalogs because you have more shape than the other ones and they fit you perfectly and they want you to be like the guide. So for all the underwear and the swimwear. So that's how it started. And most of the print that I did for Banana Republic, a little bit for Calvin, a few others, was mainly to show like the fit of jeans. I did the hang tags for like polo jeans, Ralph Lauren, and billboards in the store to show the fit. So there were a couple of things in women's wear for Michael Kors and some others, but there's just sprinkled in there a little. I didn't do much of it, but I did get a little taste of it. I'm like, oh, this is nice, just sprinkle it in.
Yeah.
And I like the not recognizable so much. So it might be my profile and my body, you know, on an underwear box or just from my neck down.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's so interesting, the breakdown, because there's so many different categories within, because, I mean, I don't even
so many types of modeling, which is great.
I didn't, well, it is, and I had no idea that fit models even existed.
Most people don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting that we're getting it down here and getting historically accurate about this stuff with Dale.
And then when they realize there is that niche, many people want to get into it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness.
You become part of the team in most cases. It's repeat work in many situations. If you are a good representation of their customer, they want to hear what you have to say because they'd rather hear the mistakes from you, the fit model, before the customer will complain about something. So if they fix it on you, and they're fixing it for the customer.
That's so true. That's so true. So my second question here, in regards to being pregnant, having kids, cancer, how did you make that decision of like, with all this going on, why don't I actually start a business?
It was actually, for me, I find in the most difficult moments of like crisis situation, I'm the most focused. So it was literally like very definitive, like, okay, great. So this is happening. I'm not available. The next step is fill the void and find models who can do the job. I wanted our fit manager to keep working. If I stopped working, there was no work. So to keep it carry on, and I didn't know if I was ever coming back to fit modeling or, you know, how it would pan out.
Yeah.
But all is good. Healthy baby. She's 7 years old now.
Yes.
And all good.
That's wonderful. Okay, so then was that always a thing for you, like being focused and clear-headed under pressure, or was that cultivated as you got older? That was something, like, do you always remember?
I think it cultivated because when I was younger, I worried too much. I was very type A. Everything had to be perfect or else I thought it was a failure. I would have analysis paralysis. You know, I think I had to have the answer to everything before I start because I want to know exactly all the steps to get where I'm going. Now I'm kind of the opposite. Jump in and figure it out as I go along, you know.
I love it, yeah.
So I think that was kind of a catalyst. Starting True was one of those major jump in and figure it out moments. Like, it just seemed like the right opportunity and I didn't know what was going to happen or how to do it, but I'll make it work, you know.
Yeah, which is such a great mindset to have when you're owning a company, because you can't get bogged down with the, you know, facts of the moment. You have to be like, oh, this is seeing where it's going and being extremely flexible. Right. Permission, giving yourself permission to create this, and, you know, it's like that permission, because we sometimes have that inner dialogue of like excuses or thoughts in our head. And we were talking a little bit about this before we recorded.
Yes.
where it's like, oh, well, this is the goal I have, and there's no flexibility in it, and this is where I'm headed. I'm kind of curious what your views are on giving yourself permission and what you've learned from that with now having this company.
Well, I think I give myself ample permission that I'm not too hard on myself and realize I don't need to have all the answers all the time right away, and that if my heart and soul is in it, I'm doing the right thing and have integrity, and we'll make it work out. So I don't
all
dwell
work out.
on much anymore, and I don't worry about things because I realize there's just too many things, even if you dot your I's, cross your T's, too many things that are out of your control, and
Yeah.
I can't be responsible for everything that's
so
impossible to
true.
control.
It's so true. Was there a moment in time where you kind of had that like release of let go of like, okay, this I'm not going to control this, or kind of like what you just said?
Yeah, I feel like I have little of those moments every day about something. I feel like so many things happen in a day. It's like put it out to the universe, put the good karma out there.
Right.
And of course, there's a plan for things, but some things where, especially being in a service business, there's only so much you can control.
Mm-hmm.
You're dependent on a lot of other people to make the whole business work.
You really are. You
Yeah.
really are. I'm kind of curious how, because you're so chill. You really are. And I'm curious, how do you stay in the light in this polarized world of darkness and light?
Well, I think for me, I focus on the positive. I definitely have my moments where, I might still be in the light, but I might not be so happy, and I get frustrated like other people, and I'm vocal. So everything comes from a good place, though. Yeah. And I realize as long as what I'm doing it with a good heart, and I'm trying to help other people and do the best that I can, that's the best I can offer, and that's the best that I can do. So I don't beat myself up anymore. I spent too many years negative self-talk, beating myself up, and now I just have to focus on the positive and let other things go.
Let it go, yeah. Yeah, that, when you realize that like, it makes life so much easier when you don't have to beat yourself up over each little individual thing that happens. You can just kind of go with the flow. And there's so much more flow as a result.
Absolutely, yeah, and it just generates more opportunities, and you're just happier, and I feel like a positive attitude it's a magnetic type of behavior, personality trait that you don't even realize that you're doing, but people are drawn to it.
Yeah.
And it brings out positive
That like-minded
in the
people.
world. And I used to think that there were so many failures, if I didn't do something perfectly, it was a failure. Now I really view everything as a lesson, and boy, do I learn a lot of lessons all the time.
Well
and
put.
learn about myself. But yeah, I feel like people have to stop beating themselves up.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. There was something that just popped into my head while you were saying that. Oh, have you always been like just kind of following the path? Has it ever been like a decision of like, should I do this or should I do that? Or have you always just kind of gone with the flow of life?
No, I've definitely had decisions when I was younger that I would just be stressed over making a decision. Like, being decisive was very difficult for me before. Now it's like, pick a lane, stick with it, make it happen, make it work. That was your decision. And yeah, now I don't stress about decisions as much, but for many, many years, I definitely did. When there was like a crossroad and I had to make a decision, I was too afraid to make the choice because I didn't want to make a mistake.
Yes.
Now I'm like, if I make a mistake, I'll move on. Like,
You
I'll
learn.
fix it, I'll learn, I'll move
Yeah.
on. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, is like when you just go with the flow of life or where it appears to be taking you, if you just go with that, so much more will come to you. Like
Yeah,
the
'cause
whole
you're
the
open
fact,
to it.
Yeah, it's that like-minded, and that energy attracts that energy in those people. Like what you've created here, like that would have, if you went into the financial district and everything, who knows where that would have I mean, we don't know because
Yeah,
we didn't
who
do
knows?
that. We're here.
Probably would have been retired by now.
The honesty. No, but it's just that level of happiness is so much higher when you're not fighting
Absolutely.
the flow.
Yes.
I just love that. Okay, so is there a piece of advice or anything that comes to mind that you would give someone who's possibly struggling in the divide between reality and their dreams?
Well, I guess it depends on the person's reality. Everyone has different reality. Everyone has different dreams. But I think that you have to go into focusing on the dream, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight. That it might take a lot of work. It might not be a straight road. It could seem like you're off path for a while. But if you get on the curvy, windy road and get back onto the path that you need to ultimately get there. I think I'm very much a list person and note taker, and if I have a goal, I'll probably map it out on a little piece of paper, like what steps do I know right now that I would have to take to get there, or is there anyone I should be talking to for advice about this, or do a little homework. So I think doing your homework, it's not always like you dream it and then you think about it and it can happen. Like you have to work to make some dreams happen. I mean, it depends if it's a work dream or a travel dream or whatever it is, but I definitely think even when you're dreaming, you need some reality checks.
You do. Oh, you do. Yeah, and it won't come easy, but you keep working towards it.
Yeah, and just have to keep the passion alive and to be focused on making it happen. You have to keep the positive enthusiasm up, or else, you can't give up, or else you won't get there.
It's so true. It's so true. What are your thoughts on relationships in this industry?
Relationships, I think it's a very important factor, and that's how I started in the business. It was friends and business associates telling me, we want to work with you, we like your friends, and you understand our business, and you're professional. So I think relationships in life, to me, it's what it's about. I feel like in business, though, when I started, it was very small, very family-oriented, then as we've grown in the business, you see some of the uglier sides of business that I'd rather not have to deal with. I love connecting people, and I love education and teaching people. So all those parts about the job I like, when it has to come to like contracts and negotiation and finances, or in this day and age, I think it puts a little bit of strain on the joy of it, because it's like all aspects of business. It's not just you get to do what you like to do in the business when you own it. So yes, where it started, now you have to deal with all software and accounting and, so
Every aspect.
every aspect, and for me, the most challenging has been managing. As much as I absolutely love people, managing for me has been very challenging, and I'm learning a lot about myself in the process.
What has that taught you about leadership, working through managing?
I'm still learning.
Clarification.
Yeah,
Still
let's
learning.
say as far as leadership, I find you really have to be very, very sensitive to others' needs and realize that everyone's takeaway on things can be totally different. Because I find like I could have a meeting with 10 people, and when everyone walked away with the same information, they processed it differently. So when you're leading, you have to learn your group and know the trigger points and what motivates and what demotivates.
Yeah, you're bringing up a really great point with the meetings, and everyone takes away something different. That's one of my biggest lessons doing this podcast, is that it's not what I say that matters, it's what you hear.
Yeah, it can be completely different.
And it's
completely.
Yeah. And like, you don't normally, I don't think most people will think about that as, you're talking to the barista at the coffee shop.
Right.
But when you tune into that, it's the interactions in life change so much, because like I have one emotion that I want to share with you, but you're hearing it completely differently unless I use a different set of words or whatever.
Right.
That's a really good point that you brought up. Okay. Is there a common piece of incorrect advice you hear in your field, maybe in the modeling industry or in starting a business?
I find as far as starting a business, especially in fashion, I've seen many fashion designers who love to draw and design outfits, and then they decide, I want to start a clothing line. So they think because they can create an outfit that they would be a good business person. So I think if you're going to small business and you don't have major financial backing to hire all the best people in your field, that you will be the jack of all trades to make every part of the business run. So be prepared that the one part that you love about the business might become a small percentage of your time in order to get the business, stable and running like a well-oiled machine. Because if you're designing clothes, it's like, but then you've got to do the production and the shipping and the packaging and the accounting and the bill collection. So
the advertising and the contracts.
Exactly. So I think that's one thing. People think like, oh yeah, I want to start a business. It's going to be so great. Or the other thing is, oh yeah, I want to start a business because I want to have my flexibility in my schedule or my time. And I'm like, well, in most business, especially services business that's around the world like ours, it's like, you're always working, so you may not have one boss, but you have many bosses. All of your clients are bosses in essence.
That's so true. You're really good at answering emails.
I answer a lot of them. So.
But you're quick with it. I mean, it's great. And I was listening. It was an interview I was listening with Ryan Seacrest, and he says he keeps his inbox empty, and he answers everything right away. And I think that was just interesting. I mean, that's completely separate, and we've never talked about that before. But that's just something I noticed. I was like, wow, that's really, people who answer their emails quickly. To me, that's a good trait to have when owning a business, and that's why I'm sharing it. But
I find that if I'm off it for a little while, like 45 minutes, that I'll be off it. I'm like, oh boy, who went to the bottom? And it was like, oh, that's when something might get missed. And that I never want to miss anything, so I try to be quick about it. And
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good. Okay, is there a most worthwhile investment that you've had in your life? Be it time, money, a skill set?
I would say education is always a good investment, and I'm always learning new things. So whether it's taking a course at, just a one-time course to learn something new, I think education is good. I think as far as for me, financial, the best was probably in real estate and hopefully many more real estate investments. But I think my favorite investment is my time invested with my family and friends, because that gives me the most joy.
Yeah. What does happiness mean to you?
Happiness to me, I find that most of my happiness comes when I feel that I'm part of helping someone else find their happiness or reach their goal. I don't really feel like I'm not very needy for myself. And when I can be of assistance to someone else, it makes me feel good inside. So I think that's it. And I like being free. I'm kind of like, I'm a Sagittarius, and it's like my happiness is when I feel like I did a good job on something and jump in the ocean, go boating and surfing and just feel free in nature, kind of. I think I'm the most happy when I'm like out in nature exercising and in the water.
Is that your spiritual practice? Being outside? Enjoying nature?
That is one of mine, and I'm looking forward to more of it. I'm going to force myself this summer to get outside and be more active. It used to be a much bigger part of my life, and now I'm making a concerted effort to reintroduce that again, because I do find I need that to stay balanced.
Is that how you, okay, well, how do you clear your head? Are you ever like kerfuffled, you fall off track? Is there a way you get back on track?
Yeah, everyone.
Clear your head?
I think for me, yoga, really deep breathing exercises, and meditation, or just like a really good run or swim. Like if I jump in the ocean and just kick and swim and keep going and get tossed around by the waves. Like, I find that clears my head very well, or run on the beach. So I like being active.
Yeah, it does wonders. Changing your state physically
Yeah,
can change
for
your mind
me,
so much.
Activity, but if I'm like, stuck in an office or at home or whatever, I think like breathing and stretching. I love stretching and yoga.
Do you get time during the day to meditate, or is that like morning only, at night?
Yeah,
or
it's usually
when-
morning or mainly at night. I do the most, I would say, at night, a little bit in the morning. But we were just talking about that at the True Model Management office, that we have a good space with a great view right near the Hudson River to do yoga. And so
gorgeous.
I want to start, or we break every few minutes for a little dance party on the balcony.
Oh,
So,
yes. There's a balcony here?
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't see
yeah,
it.
all around
Oh,
here,
yeah,
these little
jeez.
spaces
So
outside.
true.
Yeah, we just hop outside and do
Oh,
a
I
little
love
dance.
that.
We usually do the one outside the main office.
Okay. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, dancing is great. That's another one. I
Yeah.
love dancing.
Right in the middle of the day.
Yeah, right. You can break into dance anywhere.
Yeah. It's like never take anything too seriously.
Yes.
What does success mean to you?
That's a good one. Well, I think happiness is success. You were just asking about happiness, and I feel like success, you can't put a dollar on it, because I found that doesn't matter how much you make. I've met many wealthy people, and some of them, it's not bringing them happiness. Some it might be, but I think success, I think there are all different levels of success, but I think if you can be happy, healthy, relatively worry-free, and you're good to other people, I think that's success. If you're doing something to make the world a better place.
Yeah. I love what you just said, that you can't put a dollar amount on success. I love that. It's so true. It's just so true. Metaphorically speaking, if you could put a quote or a word or a phrase on a billboard for millions to see, is there anything that comes to mind?
My go-to quote is always, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," Gandhi's quote. And that one always stuck with me, because I try to leave everywhere better than I found it, whether it's cleaning something up or, noticing something nice about someone else. So, or just helping others that are less fortunate.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Dale, this has been an absolute joy. So quick. When you're having fun, time flies. I tell you. Where can we find you? What are the websites and the contact info to kind of follow along with what you're doing and your company?
You can find truemodel.net, TRUEMODEL.net, NET is where you can find everything True. And my website is Dale, DALE, Noelle, NOELLE.com.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Dale, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
You've been listening to Entertainment X, the podcast. You can follow Entertainment X on Instagram at _EntertainmentX_. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join Clay next week for another curiosity conversation on Entertainment X. Thank you for listening.